In this section, we're going to talk about earning money, and there are a number of ways that people can receive money for doing work. We're going to talk about three typical ways and then work a few problems. The three things that we're going to talk about are salary, hourly wage, and commission. Now, a salary is an amount of money that is established for doing a particular kind of job, and a lot of times a salary is an annual amount of money. That is, somebody might say, I make $50,000 a year. Well, that's a salary of $50,000 a year, but the $50,000 is not paid in one lump sum for the entire year of work. No, generally a salary is subdivided so that a person receives money either weekly or biweekly or something like that. Salary could be based upon a number that is not annual. It could be semi-annual or monthly, but typically it's a one-year period for salary. Now, another way that people are paid is by an hourly wage. Now, the folks here may be working at an office or something like that, but typically they're not keeping track of the hours that they work like a person who is working under an hourly wage basis. Now, with this hourly wage business, the person is paid a certain amount of money per hour that they work. And if they work more than the prescribed number of hours a week, and typically it's 40 hours for the work week, but if a person earning an hourly wage works beyond the 40 hours in a week, then they get paid more than their regular hourly wage. If they work weekends, they get a little more than they would during the regular weekly hourly wage. We'll see a problem like that in just a minute. Another way to receive money for work is by commission. Now, a commission is usually a percent of sales, and people selling automobiles, for example, people selling clothing, sales a lot of times have this commission idea associated with it because it means that the more you sell, the more you get, because it is a percent of sales that gives you the money, provides the money for this kind of method. Well, let's consider a few problems. Here we have Lois earns $5.80 per hour. How much does she earn in a 40-hour week? Well, a 40-hour week, $5.80 per hour. Now, in all of these problems, I guess we could come up with some kind of formula that we would memorize in order to apply to our different problems. But I think it's more effective for us to just understand what's going on in the problem and sort of make up our formula as we go along. And I don't really want to call it a formula because when you say formula, it kind of brings to mind the idea of memorization. And I don't want that to be the case here. We just kind of need to understand what's going on and then conjure up some kind of mathematical operation to solve the problem. Here, Lois is earning $5.80 per hour. That means for every hour that she works. And she's working a 40-hour week. So $5.80 for every one of these 40 hours. Oh, well, then we multiply $5.80 times 40 hours to get the total amount of money for the week. So that's what we're going to do. It's $5.80 times 40. Multiplying, we find the amount to be $232. So no formula, just an understanding of what's going on here. A real estate agent receives a 5% commission for selling a house. If the agent sells a house for $75,000, how much commission is paid? Well, on this one, we have to understand that the 5% commission means 5% of the price of the house. You see, 5% of something, as has been the case many, many times. When we talk about percents, it's often the case that it's a percent of something else, which is kind of understood or implied in the problem. Okay, so now we could make a statement here that leads us to a mathematical equation. We could say that the commission is, or is equal to, 5% of the selling price of the house. You see, and then fill in for those items. That would be a pretty good way to approach this. And if we got confused about what to do, we might want to do something like that. We might want to just paraphrase some aspect of the problem in order to try to move from an English sentence to a mathematical sentence, an equation for a solution. All right, but at any rate, however we do it, we are getting to the point where we just have an understanding that the commission that is paid is 5% of $75,000. So 5% of $75,000 is what we're figuring, and that is 5/100ths times 75,000. And upon multiplying, we find the amount to be $3,750 for this commission. Here's a problem involving a consultant. And before I read the problem, let's talk about a consultant. This is out of the three items that we talked about over here. A consultant is not exactly on a salary, not exactly on an hourly wage, and not exactly paid a commission on sales. A consultant is hired for a specific purpose. A lot of times a consultant is just an expert that comes into a company and is going to perhaps advise them about something that they have particular expertise about. And for that service, they charge a fee, and the fee is established before the consultation occurs, and the consultation may go on for a day, a week, month, whatever. But the consultant's fee is a sort of a one-time fee, and it's a work-for-hire kind of agreement. So this particular consultant received $5,000 for performing a job. The consultant spent 80 hours to complete the job. Find the consultant's hourly wage. Now, there's generally no hourly wage associated with a consultant's pay, but a lot of times a consultant will want to know about how much did I make per hour on this job. What can I charge? You see, I'm going to figure out the hours that I'm going to be working on this job, and I need to kind of know what hourly wage that would command in order to tell them how much I'm going to charge. You see, there are a lot of ways of looking at problems like this. So the consultant might want to know what their hourly wage was. Well, let's figure that out. Now, to do that, we think about the general idea for hourly wage, and it is the amount of money received per hour, or it is the wage per hour. Let's write that down. If we think about this as wage per hour, and remember that this per idea has a lot to do with the notion of division. It's wage divided by hours. Oh, this tells us how we're going to approach the problem. Now remember, I'm going to put a slash through here to indicate the division idea, but it's wage divided by hours. Oh, the wage, the amount of money, $5,000, divided by the 80 hours. You see, this is the operation that needs to be performed. Now, upon dividing, we find that this quotient turns out to be $62.50. So this consultant for this job has earned $62.50 per hour. In this problem, a person is earning an hourly wage of $12, so that's $12 per hour. And I have this phrase, time and a half is the wage on weekends. Now, time and a half refers to a different pay scale, you see, for special situations like weekends. Time and a half means that the person is earning 1 1/2 times what the normal hourly wage would be. So we're going to figure that out here. What does time and a half mean in the sense of a normal wage of $12 per hour? But here's what we want to figure out. How much is earned working 5 hours on a Saturday? So 5 hours on a weekend day means that this person is earning time and a half. Well, time and a half for $12 is figured this way. It's take the $12 and multiply by time and a half, by 1 1/2. You see, or 1.5. And multiplying, we get 18. So On weekends, the person is earning $18 per hour. That's time and a half based upon this $12 hourly wage. Now, for 5 hours, it's $18 per hour times 5 hours, and that turns out to be $90. So this person is earning $90 for 5 hours of work on Saturday.